First, I'm going to tell the story. Then I'm going to go back to the story and tell what is the meaning behind the story. Because this story that we read is not a history book. It's not a book that tells us what happened many years ago. Actually, I'm going to come and take it right here. Or is it? Right here. And it's not a story of something that happened many centuries ago and we read it like a history book. It's something for us to learn. And so what do we learn from this situation where we have slavery, which we already said addiction is a kind of slavery. I'm not going into the details of all the terrible things that happened during the plagues that were very extraordinary phenomenon. But the thing is that when people are experiencing something that is extraordinary, because they are in the middle of this situation, they don't see that it's a miracle. They think it's one event, oh, it just happened, oh, this fighter jet went, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and they think it's normal. But it's not. It's all miracles, but because we think we can explain it, so it doesn't look to us like miracles. The people that live through it, they don't see it as a miracle. It's only when the story is told later on, he said there was 0% chance that nothing happened. And always when there is something, something is going to flop, and here nothing flopped. So it is a miracle, but we don't even know because we're ignorant. We don't learn the details of the things. The first person that we meet in this story is the King Paro. King Paro is the king of Egypt. How do you say Egypt in Hebrew? It's called Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim. Even nowadays, if you speak Hebrew, if you want to say Egypt, you say Mitzrayim. That means Egypt, right? If we analyze the word Mitzrayim, we see that it's made out of a few letters, and the middle letters, it's Tzadik and a Resh, which means Tsar, means something very narrow. Mitzrayim is the place where you are stuck. Like you're in between two rocks and you can't get out, or you're in between two difficult situations and you feel stuck. This is Mitzrayim. Egypt, the place of slavery, is a place where you get stuck. Mitzrayim means a place where you're tight. You can't really maneuver. You're stuck into a place. That's what's called Mitzrayim. And so you have to realize that the slavery of Mitzrayim is the slavery of being stuck in a place and not being free to move wherever you wish to go. When you're in a place of addiction, you're in a place of slavery. You're stuck. You don't want to use, and you're still using. That's called slavery. That's being stuck. Some people, they think they're not stuck, and then they realize they are. Like I was just listening to a guy who said, how did this happen to me? And, he said, okay, he's not going to do it. He was, addicted to alcohol. He said he's not going to do it again, and this and that. And then, because he'd been maltreated by his father when he was a little boy, and the father also abused the mother and the brother and everything. So he had a very difficult childhood. He went into addiction because then that's when, he really felt, okay, this is where I feel good now, okay? That alcohol gave him a feeling of, belonging. Fine. But then he got out of it. But then he got married, he had a child. And as his wife giving birth, which is the most incredible thing, he saw this beautiful love he had for his child, and he said to himself, I'm going to do everything for my child. Okay. This is my love. I'm going to give him everything I can. I'm going to protect him. I'm loving him. It's like, and he felt this incredible love coming into his heart as his child being born. And at the same time, he's having this question. My father had a child. How could my father do that to me instead of feeling the love that I'm feeling right now for my child? So he's starting having questions.
So I
And
can apply that.
he couldn't come up with an answer. And he couldn't deal with the questions that he had. And he couldn't find answers either. And so he started drinking again. Because in order to escape from the emotional pain, he went back into alcohol. He didn't want to do it. He wanted to be the best he could. And then he realized that it is not over all his childhood trauma. But anyway, so that's just an example. It's not everybody has a childhood trauma and therefore they go into addiction. Because some people have childhood trauma and don't go into addiction. And some people don't have childhood trauma and they had the most wonderful childhood and the parents give them everything they wanted and they still go into addiction. Addiction is all over, but there was one thing that you can be sure about addiction is that people do not want to be in addiction and they still continue to use. That's the definition of addiction. So that means they're stuck into using even though they don't want to use. From my experience, the people that says, I'm here because I don't want to go to jail, or I'm here because if I don't come here, my wife is going to divorce me, or if I'm here because otherwise my sister and my mom are going to kick me out. People who have this kind of excuse why they're here, they're not doing the work. Egypt is called Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim means a place of narrow strait, a place of limited area, a place where you get stuck, a place where you want to make a move but you can't. And that is exactly the mentality of slavery. You want to do something else but you're stuck. You repeat the same thing again and again. That is called Mitzrayim, Egypt. Mitzrayim, the slavery, the place of slavery, Mitzrayim is the place of getting stuck. That's the Hebrew root of the word Mitzrayim, stuck, narrow. Then we have the people, you and me, the people, okay? Then we have the leaders. So the leaders are Moses and Aaron. Moses and Aaron are the conscience, the good guys. What's your meaning? What's your purpose in life? You have a goal, is to get the people out of there, right? It's the people with the mission, the people that are motivated. And then we have God that pulls all the strings. So these are the people that we're dealing with, the people or the entity we're dealing with. We said last week that the thing that set things in motion is when the Israelites in Egypt could not take it anymore because of the slavery. They cried out of their misery. It was like, enough is enough, we can't take it anymore. That's what set the things in motion. The thing that set things in motion is not heavenly help that comes all of a sudden. It has to come from the human heart. The place that set things in motion is not an awakening from above. It's an awakening from below. From the human being that cries out to God, then it sets in motion that God comes and helps. So always the awakening has to start from the human being. In the person's heart, when they say, I can't take it anymore, I have to stop, enough is enough, that's what then God listens. Because a person wants to stay in the same place and remains in addiction and remains drinking, and what God said, okay, God, you're free to do whatever you want. When the person says, I don't want that anymore, and is crying, it's really, that's it, rock bottom, I don't want it anymore, that's when you see God helping you to do what you want to do. God is like a shadow, right? In your heart, you feel something, and then things happen according to what you feel in your heart. That's why it's always so important to feel positive as much as you can, because if you feel negative and depressed, it calls for more depression and more bad things. And if you're happy and grateful, it calls for more good things to be grateful about. All right. That's why we say God is a shadow. It's acting the same way your heart is acting. God says to Moses, come. Come to Paro. Come to the king of Egypt, the king of the slavery, the epitome of slavery. But it says come, and then there's a stop. you can read come to Paro, which you don't come to someone, you go to someone, right? So what does it come? It says, come to me, I'm God, I'm going to help you, and we're going to go together to Paro. In other words, you call me, you want me to help you, I come with you, and together we address the slavery. Together we address that epitome of slavery, which is addiction. God says to the conscience, I'm going to be here with you, and we're going to address the issue. We're going to go to Paro, the king of slavery. And I'm going to make him stubborn. God tells Moses that I'm telling you to go tell him, let the people go. But at the same time, I'm going to make sure that he doesn't let them go. Why? This is crazy. You want them to go, you don't want them to go. The thing is that the goal of this whole situation, that they're in slavery, they're coming out of slavery. What is the purpose of all this? What is the purpose of all this misery? The purpose of all this misery, God says, is for me to perform miracles and signs so you will know that I'm God. The whole purpose of the mess is to show who is in charge. Moses and Aaron go back. It's the seventh plague. We're up to the seventh plague. They already had the blood, the frogs or crocodile or caiman, whatever you call it. The pestilence. Now the seventh plague is the locust. Okay, so they've been told now, and every time, the king of slavery, the epitome of addiction, says, okay, I get the message. Okay, I'll let you go. I'll let you free. And then it turns back again. It says, no, I'm getting stuck here. I'm not going to let you go. No freedom for you. It's the same thing with addiction. How many people have gone through addiction and recovery, and then it comes back and it comes back. Okay, I get the message. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to do it again. Or people tell them, well, okay, I'm going to stop drinking. Or they tell their kids, okay, I'm going to stop gambling. Or whatever. Okay, I'm going to stop. And then it comes back again. It's like a plague, you know? A plague comes, you say, okay, it's too much. I can't take it. Okay, stop. Okay, leave me alone. And then come back again. And so this has been going on 7 times, right? And remember, the purpose of all of this is so that the person realizes who is the boss, who is God, who is the energy behind this whole world. This is the whole purpose of the mess. You say it's a big mess. I mean, you gotta go through this to learn this, but apparently yes. It says, let my people go so they can serve God. And Pharaoh is the ego. Pharaoh basically is not only the epitome, he's the king of slavery, but how does slavery happen? Because of the ego. The ego is the one that says, I am the boss. Okay, we all say that. I am going to do this, and then I'm going to do that. And this is going to happen. I am going to start this business, and I'm going to become rich. Or I'm going to start this relationship, and I'm going to be loved. We think that we're going to do something and make everything happen. That's the ego. That's the ego. The ego thinks, I'm in charge. Paro, if you remember, he said he had a dream, and he was dreaming he's above the Nile. He's above everything. He's above the source of life, because the Nile in Egypt was the source of life. They didn't have rain, they have water from the Nile River. So, but King Pharaoh, the ego, always think, I'm above everything else. I am better than so-and-so, and I can make things happen. I am God. That's what people think. I make things happen. Isn't it true? We think, if you're going to do this, this is going to happen. God says the whole purpose of this whole situation of the mess of slavery is to teach you who is the boss. So Pharaoh says, listen, okay, I'm going to let them go. He told them 7 times, okay, go. And then again, he backtrack on this. He says, no, So now this announcement is to tell him there's going to be a plague of locusts. And an invasion. And everybody's going to be devastated, and the people have already suffered 7 things, and they say, gosh, stop already. So it's like, family members or wives or children or people care for you, they stop already, can't take it, stop. And he doesn't listen to anyone. The ego says, come on, I know better than you. I know how to handle this. I know how I'm going to figure it out. The ego says, the King Pharaoh says, you know what? You want to go? Okay, I'm going to let you go. But you know what? Only the men can go, not the kids. Not the kids. What does it mean? Your future, I'm still holding in my hand. I'm letting people go. The people already, okay, I can't do anything much about, okay, but I'm going to hold your future. What is the children? It's your future, right? That I'm going to keep on the side. I'm not going to let them go. So he says, no. If we go, if we're going to be in recovery, if we're going to be out of slavery, it's going to be complete. Not just the men, not just the men and the women, it's the children, the animals, everything. If we're in recovery, if we're good, it's going to be good completely. Not, okay, you're in recovery from drinking, but now you're going into cocaine, or you stop cocaine, but now you're going to alcohol, or you stop this, but you're going into sex. No. Moses said, if we go all of us together. Everything that belongs to us, our children, our wives, our children, our animals, everything we have, when we go out, we're going all together. It's all or nothing. So Pharaoh said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let you go. Okay, so all right. So another smack on the face. Okay. Then the locusts come, the plagues happen. It's terrible. It's terrible. Remember, in 1 year, they suffered 10 plagues. So it's like 1 week of warning, then the thing happened, then it goes away. Then again, a week of respite. Then again, a warning. Again. So every 4 weeks is another plague, So the plagues happen, and then can't take it. Okay. I said, okay, like, that's what we do. We can't take it anymore. Say, okay, I'm going to stop. The king of addiction, the king of slavery says, okay, I'm going to let you go. And he said, forgive my sin. This is the 7th time. At this point, he says, I realize that I'm sinning. I realize that I'm not listening to the true source of creation in the universe. He says, okay, go. But then, again, he says yes, and then he goes back. So, you're not gonna, okay, so now the plague of darkness. Plague of darkness was terrible. People couldn't do anything, people couldn't move, people couldn't. So then the same thing happened again. He said, oh, I can't take it anymore. Then, okay, you can go. And then, oh, no, don't go. All right, okay. So, so now...
It sounds like what I'm going through.
So now, okay, now we're going to have the plague of the firstborn. And it's being announced. Moses goes to Pharaoh and he says, now we're going to have something unbelievable happen. This is going to be terrible. I mean, it's been bad so far, but now it's going to be the worst of the worst. Something very interesting happened just after the announcement that the firstborn are going to die. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, God says to Moses, it's in chapter 12, verses 2. There we go. God says to Moses, this month is going to be the head of the month for you. I'm going to teach you the calendar, how to regulate the calendar, the Jewish calendar, because in Hebrew, every word has a meaning. The word chodesh, which means month, really is related to the root of the word chadash, which means new. How do we set up in the Hebrew calendar the Jewish month? It's when the moon starts growing, that's the beginning of the month. The moon starts growing, gets big, gonna get smaller. Then when it starts growing again, that's the beginning of the month. Okay? So the new moon is the beginning of the month. The Jewish calendar goes, we have the moon cycles, we have the solar cycle, and we combine them both. The idea is always to combine the creative, giving, masculine force, like the sun, and the receptive, feminine force of the moon. Basically, what we want is a balance. We don't want all one way or all the other way. We want to, creation is always at its best a balance of giving and receiving, of being masculine and feminine at the same time. And when the two get together, that's when a child is born, that's when a creation happens. So the purpose is always to have these two mesh together, right? The moon and the sun. In the middle of this situation, when we have, the firstborn are going to get killed, all of a sudden, Moses is being told by God, this is how you're going to figure out things. This is going to be you're going to celebrate the new moon. This month that you're going to come out of Egypt, you're going to come out of slavery, that is going to be your new moon. That is going to be your new beginning. You're going to count everything from that time on. The first month is the month that you come out of Egypt. You come out of slavery, that's your birth date. That's when you start. That's when people have an anniversary, when they have a cake, and why? Because that's when they start their sober life. That's when they start living. That's a new creation. They now balancing the masculine energy and the feminine energy. Their power to give and their power to receive help, or to be a receiver. Their power to protect, and their power to also be in a fellowship and be protected. Like we said, Egypt is the source of all the pain. It's the place of slavery. First, the people cry, enough is enough. Pharaoh is the bad guy. He is the king of the supreme example of the person who is in ego mode, which is not a masculine mode and is not a feminine mode. It's a negative mode. It's the person who thinks everything is up to me and I am in control. The ego says, on the other hand, you have the king Pharaoh, which is the figure here. And on the other hand, you have Moses and Aaron, who Moses is the most humble person and Aaron is the most loving person. So you have the leader, right? And you have the person that makes peace. You have these two people facing the opposite side, which is the ego. The ego says, you stay where you are. You're suffering, the plagues. The ego says, okay, I can't take it. Okay, go, go, go. Oh, no. I'm catching back. I'm getting back on myself. It's softened when the plagues hit. When misery happens, it gets softened. But then it goes back because the ego is so strong. It doesn't want to let go. And it does that. The king says that 10 times. What's the point? The point is to know who is in charge. God says, I'm going to make his heart get hardened because I want to show everybody. I want everybody to see who is in charge here. Who is able to move things around. Now, how do you get rid of this Pharaoh? How do you get rid of this slavery, of the master of slavery? Because basically that's what the king Pharaoh is the master of addiction, master of slavery. How do you get rid of him? The first thing is you show hope. You show hope. Because people that don't think that it can be helped will not get help. So the first thing God says, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Egypt, in the middle of the plague, he says, hey, this month is going to be the first of your month. You're going to start here. Meaning, Chadash means a month, it means newness, it means something new is going to happen. I give you hope. There's something new on the horizon. So that's why you get this commandment of all of a sudden, something to do with Chadash, with newness. First, you should hope. That's the beginning of the beginning. You have to have hope. If a person doesn't think they have a chance, they will not start to even improve. The first thing is God says newness. You have something new on the horizon. You have this month, start counting from now, because now when you realize something you have to do something about it. That's your point of beginning. That's your birthday. That's when you start everything. Hope, right? Just like the moon. It's a sliver of moon, but that's the beginning of a full moon, right? That's the beginning of a person looking towards something good. Number two is kill the firstborn. So what is this idea of killing the firstborn? The firstborn, and we're going to put this a little bit in the light of psychology, is like this. Somewhere in the life of a person, when the person was a child, before they were 10 years old, in childhood, there is one or more seminal, original incident that makes a person develop survival patterns. And they believe in this pattern. For example, a person who has a father who is beating him up. So what the survival pattern? If I'm invisible, he's not going to find me. I'm not going to get beaten. So I'm invisible. So he grows up like this, that being invisible, that's my survival. But then when he goes to school, he can't get into the game, or the girls don't talk to him, or he's a nobody, and then he starts feeling bad and whatever, he doesn't belong. And then when he drinks, all of a sudden he feels good. Then that's when the things start falling down. All this incident that happen in childhood, they produce an emotion. The emotion gets the person into a pattern, and the pattern makes people hit rock bottom. So what we do in our lives is that there is a mode of survival, a pattern that we had that helped us function, that helped us survive in childhood, and we repeat that pattern again and again. And this is the firstborn, what I call here in this story, the firstborn. These are the things that created us and created us our personality or our beliefs, our way of acting, our way of thinking, our way of feeling or analyzing a situation. Even now, if a situation is not dangerous, we still think it's dangerous. Or if a person says something to us, or we think they're against us, or we think they don't love us, because we learned in the past that that's what happened. So the patterns that created in childhood start ruling the life of the person, like a ruler. We become entrenched, we become stuck in it. And that's exactly what Mitzrayim is. The slavery is like being stuck in this pattern. When God says, I'm going to kill the firstborn, it is killing this pattern that we learn in childhood that helped us survive in childhood, but we keep replaying them again when it's not necessary to use them. What we need is, first of all, to know that a change of behavior, because people want to get out of this situation. People want to get out of addiction. They want to get out of slavery. How to get out of? So they think, I'm going to change my behavior. I'm going to stop drinking, and that's going to fix the situation. I'm going to stop using. That's going to fix the situation. That's a level of the action, of the behavior. Or a second thing people do is, I have a story, and it feels that this story is safe. You know, if I tell you that I have a story, this happened to me and this happened to me, so of course this is what I do, this is what I become, and we tell the story, right? It's a validation for our action. But if we stay on these two levels, on the level of behavior and the level of telling a story, we're not going where we need to go. We need to go to the third layer, and the third layer is the true place where things are going to happen, is going back to the original thing that made us believe things, that made us think or made us feel a certain way. Like I said, the ultimate plague that plagued Egypt, the thing that stopped the slavery, there were 10 plagues, but the one that really did it was going back and killing the firstborn. The first ideas that we had, the first pattern that we had, the mode of survival that we developed as a child, that is the killing of the firstborn. This is really what's going to kill the slavery and the addiction. So the emotional layers is where things get fixed. It's not the behavior and it's not telling the story. It's the emotional level. And it's the place where the problem was born. And the desire to get away, for example, from pain or from shame, of not being lovable, a person think they're not lovable, or a person think that they're depressed or they're nobody or whatever. All these things, it's covering up. And we have to have the courage to go to the third layer of the emotion, where things are born, where things are starting to settle, where the survival pattern develop and we get stuck in it for the rest of our life. So the problem is that going into this pattern and covering this pattern, it makes us, if we want to go there, it makes us feel like we're dying. That's what it's called, the death of the firstborn. It makes us feel like we're dying. It feels like dying. A person, you tell them, you know what, you're good enough, you're good. And his pattern is to feel that he's not good. So he's going to act a certain way, like macho or like I can do anything or whatever. But really inside, he thinks he's not. And so if he tells himself and face it, said, I'm not good enough, it's going to destroy him. So he can't go there. Because if he feels like if we go to that place, he's going to die. And the thing is that we have to know one thing. It feels like we're dying when we face these survival patterns that we have in life. But what is going to die is not us. It feels like dying because something is really dying. But it's not us who is dying. What is dying is the survival pattern. The bad pattern that we followed all our lives. And that's what's going to die. But we don't know the difference. We feel, okay, my gosh, that's not me. I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm going to collapse. I can't do it. What's collapsing, it's not us. It's the survival pattern. And they're telling us, don't do it, don't do it. It's dangerous, dangerous, don't do that. And so we have to know that letting go of this survival pattern feels like dying. We have to know that's what it's going to feel. And we also have to know that what is dying is not us, but it's the bad pattern that we've developed in our childhood. And so, again, what saves us from slavery, the ultimate place that really stopped the slavery, is when even the ego says, okay, I quit, I let you go. I'm letting you free. How does that happen? Is by the death of the firstborn. The thing that we developed when we first a small child. The way to get out of slavery is to kill the firstborn, which are the survival emotional pattern that we developed in childhood.
Yeah.